When did making plans get this complicated? It's time to streamline with WhatsApp, the secure messaging app that brings the whole group together. Use polls to settle dinner plans. Send event invites and pin messages so no one forgets Mom's 60th. And never miss a meme or milestone. All protected with end-to-end encryption. It's time for WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone. Learn more at whatsapp.com.
When it comes to what your family eats and drinks, you know your choices matter. You're the expert because you know what fits your life. And getting it right starts with good information. That's why America's beverage companies are sharing more information about our ingredients at goodtoknowfacts.org. No spin, no judgments, just the facts straight from the experts for more than 140 beverage ingredients. Visit goodtoknowfacts.org.
Some things never go out of style, like trust, reliability, and driving a Toyota. Take the legendary Camry and Corolla, designed for comfort, engineered for performance. Hurry in. Offers end November 3rd. Toyota, let's go places.
Hello and welcome to the Paddock and the Pavilion for another episode with an Ashes theme, as we build up to the opening test on the 21st of November in Perth. Today we're heading to the iconic Sydney Cricket Ground, where I'm joined by returning guest Jenni Douglass to talk about her latest children's book, Tess and Sabotage at the SCG, featuring her two young cricket detectives, Tess Walker and Eddie Armstrong. Jenni shares the inspiration behind this second adventure, the wonderful people who've supported her along the way, including Cordelia Griffith, the Essex and London Spirit batter, and the important messages she's aiming to convey to help inspire a new generation of young cricket fans. Hello, Jenni. Welcome back to the Paddock and the Pavilion to talk more about those two cricket detectives, Tess and Eddie, and your new book, Tess and Sabotage at the SCG.
Hello, Stephen. Thank you for having me back.
My pleasure. How are Tess Walker and Eddie Armstrong?
They're very good. They are looking for the next crime to solve, but they're going quite well.
How pleased were you to bring them back to life?
Yeah, it was really exciting actually, because I think I said before that I wrote the first book just as a book, and then the more I got into it, I thought there's scope to perhaps do a series. And then, of course, you have to think of the next book. But no, it's quite exciting to have them come back in a different country with different cricket matches, different circumstances, and then hopefully solve another crime.
How did the idea for the second book come about?
My nephew is celiac, and so he always struggles with where he goes and where he's eating and things like that. So we're kind of trying to go on a bit of a sabotage plot, and I thought it'd be quite nice to have some poison food, and then that kind of went from there. I had like I knew a little bit about celiac, so an easy topic to do, and then it just kind of, how do you put sabotage, where does it go, where does it run, and then it just kind of builds and grows from there.
And for listeners, can you, no spoilers, give us a synopsis of book 2, Tess and Sabotage at the SCG?
Well, obviously set in Sydney at the Sydney Cricket Ground, which is the SCG. Tess is Australian, as most people may know, so she is there visiting her family, and of course Eddie goes with her because that would be the best way to have the book. And it is at the start or in the middle of the women's T20 competition over there. And Tess's cousin Jackie, who is 19, is part of the squad and is trying to break into the squad to have her debut. And she gets her chance when quite a few of the players go down with food poisoning. But as it all progresses, Jackie becomes one of the main suspects as to who poisoned the food and so Tess thinks this can't be right because Jackie is one of her sporting heroes, and so she investigates, and then it kind of gets a little bit bigger than just food poisoning.
Yeah, it certainly does, doesn't it? I know I'm not in your age bracket for the book, but I enjoyed it.
Oh, that's good. That's always good to hear.
Do you find actually that this is a children's book that you do get adults read it?
I hope so. I mean, I always think children's books aren't just for children anyway. I read a lot of children's books, usually just to research how books are written and just to get your mind in a child's kind of atmosphere. But I don't think. I mean, I like children's books because they're quite to the point. When you start reading adult books or grown-up books, a lot of them are quite fluffy, and so you think, well, is this all necessary? Can we just get to the point a bit quicker? Which is what children's books do, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, there's not lots of padding in children's books. I guess children like action and like it to keep going and going and going.
They do. So you have to try you have to try and keep it going all the time, which is quite challenging. So the first book was set over one day, and this second book is set over a week or 10 days or something. I'm not quite sure how it'll progress, but so then you have to. There's new challenges of where they have to eat, they have to sleep, they have to go to the bathroom and things like that. So you have to kind of make sure that you're putting all those things in and getting sequences following each other. So it's a bit more challenging.
And you went home to Australia for this book and the SCG. Had you been on the SCG tour, which takes place in the book, yourself?
I have. So I lived in Coogee and Randwick, which is just around the corner from the SCG. So I've been there many times to the cricket and also Australian rules football, which is my other great love. And we did do the SCG tour when we were there in 2019. So my daughter, who's the one who the books are after, she likes taking notes when we go and things like that. So she had a lot of meticulous notes that the tour guides had said. And then I just do a lot of research. And of course, so I knew a lot of things. I kind of know the ground quite well, so I was able to put it all together.
We mentioned in the first book you did that some of the messages that you're putting across, and I'll put three things down here that I know you'll agree with. One was friendship, that's obviously Tess and Eddie, how much they support each other, and also they're overcoming obstacles throughout the book.
Yep, that's it. With the whole point of the book was to have a girl as the main character, but she always needs a best friend, and that was because my daughter had played cricket with a boy that she met at a cricket camp, and so they had a lovely little friendship through cricket. And they do have to support each other, but of course you have to have disputes during a book. So there's a few times where they butt heads in both books, but it always gets resolved because that's what you do.
And their characters, are you developing them all the time? That must be something you enjoy.
Yeah, so of course character arcs are really important in books, and in the first one, Tess, who's quite shy and timid at the start, at the end she stands up for herself, and so then in the second book it carries through where she's quite confident to the point where she's almost a little bit nasty, and so that's where the conflict kind of comes into it. So she has to kind of check herself that you can still be confident without being nasty to people. So that was how I tried to do her character arc in the second one. I think Eddie's much more simple. He's a boy, much more simple. They don't tend to have as many dramas as girls. So he tends to stay quite simple throughout the books, and Tess is the one with the dramas. So again, if going into a third book, I'll have to try and find a character arc again of how they overcome it.
I guess even though this is fiction, to you when you're writing it, Tess and Eddie are real. And what happens in book one, you've got to think about how their character and how they're changing as people, even though they're not real, in book two and then subsequent books.
You do. You have to say the first one was supposed to be a standalone, but then you have to refer back to the first book in the second one because you want people to. It's a standalone story, but you have to refer back to the first book as to why they're detectives and why people recognise them, and why Tess's character has changed a little bit. So you have to keep looking at them, and of course they're getting older, and at some point I will have to perhaps have them turning 13 because they're 12 at the start of the book, so they can't stay 12 forever. And then that kind of changes the dynamics as well. But I'm kind of thinking about how I can incorporate that into future books as well.
And like in book one, you had the cricket themes as for each chapter.
Yes, and that was challenging, and it's going to get more challenging to try and find different terminology. But I've got a piece of paper that I've got all of them and which chapters I put them in, and they're not necessarily all cricketing terms, but they're just something that is about cricket, and it's quite fun. I quite enjoy doing that. And sometimes the chapter comes first and then the heading, and sometimes I'll have a heading and then a chapter follows on from there. So it's not necessarily one way or the other. It works itself out in the end.
And bearing in mind that it's children that's reading the books, it's quite educational then for them to learn a bit more about the idiosyncrasies of cricket.
Yeah, I hope so. That's another reason for the books is that a lot of younger people don't necessarily know a lot of history or not a lot of terminology, because cricket is so full of terminology and rules and regulations. So if you can just simplify a few of them, and it might just make someone understand the game a little bit better. But again, that's the important part of the books is there's history in there, and there's information and ideas about cricket that are not what people expect there to be. So it's just a different way of putting it forward.
Yeah, I've just written down a few here. There was wrong-un, nicked, leading edge and partnership, which sums up Tess and Eddie.
Yes, that was it. So like I say, sometimes the words come before the chapter, because I think I was explaining in the first time I spoke to you that I set out a plan of how I want the book to go, and then I end up adding things to it. So I can start to think of chapter headings and how they can relate to a cricketing term. But then sometimes when I have to add an extra couple of chapters because the story's growing, then I really have to try and work out how I put a terminology of some sort in there. So without, and it's hard, isn't it? Because we don't want to detract from the chapter, but you still want to make it about cricket. So it's getting more challenging. So I might have to stop after a few books just because I've run out of cricketing terms, but we'll see.
Yeah, I can imagine, because you must have used probably approaching 50 now.
Yes, yeah, getting on close to 50. There's still so many more though, and there's also different interpretations as well. Even wicket and pitch, they all mean different things. So you could use them. I could probably use them in a different way in another chapter if I need to.
Plus, you've got different ways Australians and English term different things as well. You could use.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess I'm always thinking from an Australian point of view, and obviously pick up a few English things over here. Yeah. There's still scope for more, but it is getting more challenging, I have to say.
And you've been busy with book signings during the summer promoting the book.
I have been very busy over the summer, taking Tess and Eddie wherever I can possibly go and finding people to promote it for me on social media.
And that must be enjoyable when you're really getting your face out there and meeting main cricketers, England players and things like that to help with the book. Yeah,
it is exciting. And I always think that people have heard about it, but they don't. And so once you kind of get your ideas to people like who have played the game or currently playing the game, then it's nice for them to hear. It's nice for me to hear that they like the idea and they think it's really good and they're happy to put it onto their socials for me to promote it. Because, what I need to do is just to get it out to as many people as possible. And that's the hardest thing.
I love the photos you've regularly been posting on Instagram where Tess and Eddie have been at different cricket grounds as well.
Yeah, that was an idea I had. I forgot. Sometimes I'd go there and I'd forget, but because my daughter plays club and county, and then we went to some matches as well. So I had quite a few venues to do them at. It was just a different way of approaching it. I'm hoping to put them all into a little reel at some stage this week, just to say this is where we've been over the summer.
Well, I saw you at Lord's for one of the matches of the 100, and also at Ampthill, your own cricket club in Bedfordshire, for the women's MCC match. How has the book been received at Ampthill? Has everyone got a copy?
Oh, I think there's quite a few people who've got copies, and everyone seems to be very proud of me, which is really nice. I've got to get up there for another book signing, which I didn't get a chance to do this year, but I'll probably do it next year. We run All Stars and Dynamos on a Friday evening, so I'll pop up there sometime next year and get sign a few copies and show a few more people. But it's going really well. But
that's a good way of youngsters who are playing All Stars and Dynamos with your books, getting them, interested in cricket. Because as you say, the books do cover history and terminology about the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want people to read it and to learn a little bit and fall in love with cricket as much as I love cricket, and not to think it's always stuffy and it's not for them. Cricket really is a game for everyone, and things like All Stars and Dynamos are great programs to get younger kids involved. So if you can then get to the message of my books out to them, obviously I'm not the only person getting messages out there, but it'd be great to for them to read my book and fall in love with cricket a little bit more.
The James Hardie Alliance helps take your reputation further with tools, training, and homeowner leads to help you stand out. Join forces with the #1 brand of siding in North America. Visit jameshardie.com/alliance.
I'd like to talk about some of the people that have supported you with the book. Most importantly, you've already mentioned them earlier, your family.
Yes, so they're very long-suffering, my family. I read them chapters. I ask them to look at this, and the other, and they're probably sick of me talking about it by now. But they have been amazing and supported me all the way through. It's been a bit crazy, the journey, but I'm really lucky to have them here behind me, supporting me.
And do they give you ideas and not criticism, but point out things that you missed and things like that?
Yeah, they do. They certainly help me. If I get stuck, a bit of a writer's block, I do go and say, where do I go from here? And they will give me a few pointers as well. So that definitely helps. And
cricket-wise, you've received support from Cordelia Griffith, Essex and London Spirit.
Yes. Yeah, so she was really good. We kind of, through my husband and myself, we know quite a few people in cricket just over the years. And so I was asking Cordelia just a few. I won't give it away what I asked her, but I had a bit of a problem with how I could get from A to B. And I spoke to her and I said, how can I do this? Or what do you do on match days? And what happens if this happens? And she said, oh, well, actually, this is what happens. I'm like, fantastic. That perfectly fits what I need. And I was able to kind of kickstart where I wanted to go from there.
So is she Jackie in the book then?
No, she's not Jackie. She's it was written, so Jackie is based on my nephew, even though it's a girl. So it's based on him because because I think I said to you I do all middle names, and I kind of based it on him. But no, she's not. She was just someone who helped me with some information behind the scenes to get the plot flowing.
Plus, you've also received support from Maya Bouchier, England opening batter.
Yes, which is amazing. Again, kind of know her through a few different connections that we've had over the years, and was able to meet up with her in Southampton before her game. And she signed some copies for me, which I've got copies of each book, which I'm hoping to put into a competition at some stage to raffle them off or to give them out to someone. But yeah, she was lovely, and she collaborated with me on social media and has helped to promote it as well. And
am I right in saying you've got a new illustrator?
I do, yes. I unfortunately had to find a new illustrator because the man I had before, Dave Shepherd, unfortunately passed away suddenly. So it's quite sad because he did a wonderful job. So I needed to find another one, and just went out and I contacted a few people and eventually found Emily, who was really good. Her daughter has just started playing cricket. So she was interested to learn a bit more and to do the illustrations. So it was really good.
This is Emily Snape.
Yeah, that's correct.
And that does help in the book. It brings the characters, again, because they're not real people, but it brings them to life with the illustrations, doesn't it?
It does, and obviously David created the images of Tess and Eddie for the first book. So, I spoke to Emily and I said, "Are you able to keep them the same?" And she did, and then that she was able to get the new characters through the book. I think the only person who appears in it again is Tess's dad. So we had to make sure that he looked similar to what he did in the first book, but otherwise they were all new characters, and she was able to do her own interpretation of Tess and Eddie, but keep them the same, which was really good.
We spoke last time about the possibility, although you said it would be a big job to do, for audio for the books. Is that something you'd still like at some point?
Oh, I mean, it would be amazing. It's more of a cost thing than anything else, trying to get it up and running. And yeah, I think it's just more of a cost thing.
Thank you for listening to episode 372 with Jenni Douglass. I hope you're enjoying hearing more about Tess and Eddie's latest adventure at the SCG. If you missed episode 307 with Jenni, What Happened When the Ashes Urn Was Stolen, you can download that show along with nearly 400 others on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, or on our YouTube channel. Now let's get back to Jenni and Sabotage at the SCG. The actual topic of the book being based at the SCG, have you had support from the Sydney Cricket Ground and also from the tour guides?
I have. I'm very lucky that we know someone who works at the SCG, a friend of the family, and his son read the first book and he said, "Oh, you should set one at the SCG." And I'm like, "Oh, it might already be in the works." And he's been amazing. So he obviously gave me permission to set it at the SCG, and then he said he'd like to put it as part of the tour. And so the tour guides have got it, and I'm not sure if people can buy it as part of the tour, but they've endorsed it, which is really good. I gave him a copy to read before it was published, just so they could give me any mistakes that were in there, but they seem to like it. And yeah, it's amazing.
So the book's getting across to Australia. How are sales going generally?
They're steady. Yeah, they're steady. It's about how much work I put into promoting it as to how many I sell. So if I, make an effort to do some marketing or promoting it, then you can see a spike in the sales. So I just have to keep at it. But now we're at the end of the cricketing summer here, so I've got to start focusing on the Australian summer, which of course is an Ashes summer. So that's my job over the next few weeks, to start trying to contact people and promote it for me and see how I go from there.
Yeah, we're going to talk separately shortly about the Ashes, but the great news is that you're actually going out to watch, aren't you?
I am, yes, going to the Gabba, the MCG and the SCG. So I can't wait.
That's fantastic. And what's next for Tess and Eddie in book 3? Any secrets you can let us know?
It's in the works. It's going to be set in India. And so Tess and Eddie will be there together again, surprisingly. It's in the work. There's plots happening. And I'm just trying to get it all to work out. But the whole theme is that girls do belong in cricket. So there's that underlying theme, and there's a couple of subplots going along with maybe the daughter of one of the owners of a team who goes missing, and they have to try and find her, and then it all unravels from there.
I'm obviously on the right wavelength, because one of my questions on my little prompt card here is India ? Or back to England. So I'm obviously thinking in the right direction.
Yeah, I'd love to do India, because obviously that's, they love cricket in India. So I'd love to be able to get into that market. And it's a natural progression for them to travel around the world. And where they go after India, not sure, but we'll just try and get India done and see where it leads.
Tess's mum and dad won't be pleased, though, if they're busy investigating another.
No, well, she did have her fingers crossed, I think, at the end of the book, to say that she promises not to do any more mysteries. Well, we'll have to see.
I'm sure they will be. Thank you.
Maybe it might not be Tess's mum and dad. It might be Eddie's mum and dad involved this time. So it's all about Eddie.
Thank you very much, Jenni, for returning to the Paddock and the Pavilion. And I look forward to the chance of seeing you at the Ashes.
Yes, I will do my best to get on TV for you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Stephen.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Timeshare sucks. You bought into the dream, but now you're drowning in endless fees and regret. Consumer Guardian Group is here to fight for your rights. Whether you're a victim of fraudulent sales practices, elderly exploitation, or experiencing a hardship, our team is here to help. With Consumer Guardian Group, you will receive aggressive, unrelenting representation by attorneys who are committed to your success. Visit us at consumerguardiangroup.com, your legal pathway to timeshare relief.